Hey guys, what is going on? Round 15 is in the books. One more round to go, then we are in the playoffs. Some amazing results here. Crusaders, Highlanders, man, that went down to the wire. Proof that you don't need a lot of points or tries to have an exhilarating game. None more exhilarating than forced Waratahs. We'll get to that, as well as an absolute thumping of Moana Pasifika. I'm going to break down every game, but before that, let's address the elephant in the room. This terrible goatee I'm rocking. No, I'm not going to change my name to Stone Cold Julian Shaw. It's for an acting role that I've auditioned for. So the good thing will be if I get it, then this will be worth it. The silver lining is if I don't get this part, well, then I get to shave it. And honestly, that might be just as good. With the goatee out of the way, let's talk about something else that was pretty ugly. This game. Now, I loved it. It was a beauty as an entertainment spectacle. It was tense. It was seesawing. It was never clear who was going to win. I mean, the Highlanders did show up with a lot of passion and purpose. But it was a little bit ugly from a Crusaders perspective, because they just couldn't break the line like they normally do. That was concerning. And it was very ugly from a Highlanders perspective too, in the sense of finishing. Where was the clinical finishing? The men from the Deep South created opportunities all night. They couldn't convert them. That was kind of the story of this game. Look, it was settled in the end when a Cam Miller kick went wide at full time. And that kind of summed up the evening for the visitors, because I do think that their kicking game was what hurt them ultimately. Not just the goal kicking and some wayward kicks. Poor Cam Miller, I rate him as a first five, not his night. But also kicks in general play. I mean, I think about one example where Cam Miller did a crossfield kick to Umaga Jensen, who was very isolated, didn't really go anywhere. It seemed like a little bit of a desperation move because they couldn't crack the Crusaders' rushing D. And of course, that leads to a turnover. You give the ball back to the Crusaders. Man, the Highlanders, they probably got out-kicked by the Crusaders in this game. And it was not really a night for running rugby. One guy who'll be happy was Sevu Reece. He is now the all-time top try scorer in Super Rugby. Let's give him his flowers. Unbelievable accomplishment, that. He equaled TJ Perenara last week. I said it might not be long before he gets the outright status as top try scorer ever. Well, we had to wait 1 week, so it certainly wasn't long. So he certainly stood out for the Crusaders because they're lacking a bit of spark right now. That injury to Will Jordan is hurting them. Now, Johnny McNichol's an able replacement, but he's no Will Jordan. Will Jordan's one of the best players on earth. The Crusaders need to find a way to break the line more often. If Jordan is back for the quarterfinals, which, knock on wood, he's trending in that direction, that's going to help a lot. Another guy who I thought stood out was Cullen Grace. I've been mentioning him lately with Satiti, a lock to go back into the All Blacks back row, with Ardie Savea, not just a lock. It's more about which position is he going to play, 7 or 8, and is he going to be the All Blacks captain instead of Scott Barrett? That's more the conversation with Ardie. It's not, is he going to get picked? Question is more like, who goes with Satiti and Savea? And I'm beating the drums for Cullen Grace. I think he's at least a name you need to consider. He's not the flashiest. He's not the shiniest. He's rock solid. He's the glue that can hold a loose forward combination together. Good in the lineouts, good in the rolling mauls, good around the park. Saw that again tonight. Liked what I saw from him. Also good to see George Bell back. You know, he's had injuries. Don't forget, he was the third choice hooker for the All Blacks last year. Now, Samisoni Takiaho from the Chiefs might have something to say about that this season, but keep your eye on George Bell. Guys, it was just kind of a case of the Highlanders beating themselves in the end. They would rack up phases and then turn the ball over. The lack of ball security killed them. The ball kept leaking out of the ruck zone. Crusaders were just a bit more canny in that space. Like I said, the kicking wasn't brilliant from the Southerners. So, you know, overall, this was the right result, a deflating one. I back Cam Miller to bounce back. Final word on him, because he's getting torn to shreds. Obviously, he missed that final kick that could have won the game, and his kicking and general play wasn't great tonight. He needs more time. I remember Taha Kemara was very hyped when he came on the scene. I even made a video years ago saying, hey, here are the dudes who could be the next Dan Carter in New Zealand. I put his name on that list. Did he look like a future Dan Carter in his first season? Not at all. Not at all. He looked frail. He looked unsure of himself. He looked like a rookie. Compare that to his season this year before he got injured. Much better. So I'm expecting Cam Miller to keep trending in the right direction. But yeah, that's it for the Highlanders. Look, they're bottom of the log. It's pretty shocking when you think about the talent they have. Tavatawa Nawai, Jacob Radamai, Tavuki Neepkins, Fabian Holland, Ethan de Groot. Need more consistency in the game management from their 10s. Maybe they need one more star forward, one more star back. Things could turn around. But this ain't their year. It's the wooden spoon for them. Here's a team where you feel like it could be their year. The Hurricanes are on a hot streak, and I love to see it. I voted with my heart instead of my head when I picked the Canes to win this game. Maybe I need to listen to my heart more, guys. Because on paper, you felt like the Reds should win this. They were at Suncorp, very intimidating venue, really great crowd there. Good to see that. They had Harry Wilson back. They're pretty desperate to lock down a place in the top 4. But the Canes, they've shown they can win away from home this year. Beat the Brumbies in Canberra. Now they beat the Reds in Brizzy. That is huge. Now, the Reds didn't help themselves, let's be clear. Tom Liner, he missed a couple kicks. Can't put it all on him, but certainly the Reds needed to keep some scoreboard pressure on. When they couldn't do that, it just took one flurry of offense from the Canes to sort of blow them away. You had Billy Proctor making a statement saying, "Give me that All Black jersey, Rico. I want the All Black 13 on my back." Playing like an All Black, Proctor has to be in the squad. His line breaking was sensational. He was the most elusive player on the field, and his distribution is excellent. You also had Cam Roigard, the man pictured here, the halfback, the first choice halfback in New Zealand. He scored. Those two created havoc and, put together, 10, 12, 14 points in a flurry. That rocked the Reds back. Now, a lot of good signs for the Reds, especially from a Wallabies perspective. Harry Wilson was back. He was putting in some big hits. He looked really good out there. Tate McDermott at 9, very good. So Wallabies are standing up. But now the Canes are in the top 4, and the Reds really need to beat the Drua next week. That's going to be an interesting one because the Drua are a big-time banana peel. The Reds should beat them. But hey, we said they should have beaten the Hurricanes, so you never know. But look, good stuff here, Canes. Stoked to see it. New Zealand teams have really come right. We're going to look at these standings at the end of this video, I promise. We'll get to that in a sec. But those top Kiwi teams, Chiefs, Crusaders, Hurricanes, they've had a couple bad nights at the office throughout the season. Everyone does. But, man, have they come right. At the right time of the season, the pointy end of the season, 1 week to go. Buckle up your seatbelts, folks. This is going to be a pretty compelling final week and playoff series. Well, speaking of a bad night at the office, 85 points to 7. The Chiefs, do I need to even tell you this? The Chiefs destroyed Moana Pasifika. This was a training run. This was not a competitive professional rugby fixture. With all due respect to Moana Pasifika, who I still want to see make the finals, who I still love. Shake my head at this game. So what happened? Are the Chiefs that much better than Moana Pasifika? They're not. They're better. They're top of the table. They're not that much better. I think what you have here is a case of emotional burnout. Now, I don't want to sound too new agey here. Let me elaborate on that. Moana Pasifika really targeted that game last week against the Blues. They were at home in Albany. It was do or die. That was their best chance to get into the top 6, where they're still sitting, just. They had to win that, and they did. And I just think they emptied the tanks emotionally. You got one of the greatest performances of all time by Ardie Savea. They had to lift so high, play to their full potential. And that's the thing about Moana Pasifika. They're as good as anyone when they play to their full potential, but then you have teams like the Brumbies, the Crusaders, the Chiefs, who can still get a win even if they're at 80, 90%. Moana Pasifika need to be at the top of their game. And so they simply hit the wall this week. It happened against the Blues in the first game of the season at Eden Park. Not as big a thumping, a closer game, but also a game you kind of never felt was in doubt. How did they get those 7 points? Those lonesome, lonely 7 points? It was an Adi Savia try, of course. He tried all night. But basically, this game was a case of the All Blacks in the Chiefs playing brilliantly. Satiti looked good out there, got his offload game going. Takiahau was dynamite as per usual. Cortez Aratama runs some of the best lines in World Rugby for a halfback. His support play is exceptional. D-Mac was great. But really, it was actually Sean Stevenson at fullback who was saying, don't forget about me. I mean, he was incisive. He was breaking the line all night. And all it took was a little bit of passivity, a little bit less passion, like I spoke about, from Moana Pasifika, which manifested in the defense. That's normally where you see where a team's at emotionally. It's not the attack. We all love to attack. The attack is the fun and games. That's the beer and Skittles. The defense is the gnarly stuff. If you're not right on your game, it shows in defense, and it showed here. Porous, weak, training run, and then you just have some of the best loosies and outside backs in the whole competition and World Rugby, dare I say. They don't need a second invitation. If you're a bit passive on defense, they will rip you to shreds. Guys, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, and I say this as a massive Moana Pasifika fan. Like, this game could have gone to 100. They could have put on another couple tries. You know, they could have pushed for a century here. So, in a way, this is good. Flush the dunny, as Shag Hansen would say. This was so bad that maybe Moana Pasifika fans can think, okay, we got it out of our system. We had an absolute shocker. There's nothing to salvage from this game. Flush it. Forget about it. Done. History. Let's almost laugh at it. Like, wow, how bad was that? But we don't want to be a laughingstock next week. We want to come back and win and make the finals and prove that we are no joke. That's the mentality Moana Pasifika needs. We'll see what happens, but this will have certainly sharpened their focus. Guys, maybe the most exciting game of the weekend was this one. This was a game full of feeling. There were brawls. That's probably what I'm going to remember from this, just the frequent brawls that broke out. The seesaw nature of the game, no one really got an ascendancy. I mean, it ended at a draw at full time. It was back, it was fourth. Standout players, Carlo Tizzano, now the all-time try scorer record holder as a forward in Super Rugby. How many, I wrote this down, I couldn't believe it was true. How many tries has this bloke scored this season? I want to say that was his 13th try for the year. Wow. I mean, Carlo Tizzano, it's not just about the tries, it's about the defense, it's about the work at the breakdown, it's just about the work rate, consistency. So he deserves it. But ultimately, guys, it wasn't a kick that decided this. It went to, you know, super point, golden point, whatever you want to call it, extra time. You know, whoever scores first wins. Went to the 91st minute, and Darby Lancaster scored a try. There were opportunities earlier on from both sides where a penalty could have won the game either way, but the kickers didn't have their boots on. Bit of a theme this weekend. Not a great vintage weekend for goal kicking, but nice that a try won it for the Tars. Look at how happy they are here. Oh, look, they deserved it. They deserved it. Can they still make a play for the finals? Let's take a look at the log. I know that's what you guys really want to see. Here we go. And this means something now because there's 1 week to go. We're sort of out of speculation mode. We're drilling in here. This picture is getting crystal clear. So look, the Chiefs, Crusaders, and Brumbies clearly lock them in. Chiefs should be at home. I'm not sure there's a scenario where they're not, actually, based on these points. So Chiefs are good. Crusaders are good. Hurricanes, really, that was a big one over the Reds. I mean, they're in the top 4 now. That's a much safer position. Moana Pasifika still hovering there at 6. They need to win next week to make sure of their place. If the Blues lose next week, they could yet scrape through. So I'm going to leave it till that next video to break down all the possible permutations. But let me just finish on the Waratahs. Yes, theoretically, they're in the hunt. They could leapfrog the Blues. They could leapfrog Moana Pasifika. That is possible. Either way, guys, it's going to be an absolute bumper round. I cannot wait to preview it with you guys. I'm going to love you and leave you. Check out the merch links below. I'm an official Fanatics partner. I'm about to buy some merch for the All Blacks coming up. Check out the links. Do the same. I got Lions merch. I got Wallabies, All Blacks. It's all discounted if you follow my links. So hit that up. And guys, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I'll be back for another one real soon. Take it easy. Bye for now.